All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a mystery that, honestly, affects every single one of us. We're looking at the surprisingly hyperactive, deeply fascinating, and heavily researched biological events that happen in the very first minute after your heart stops. I am so excited to share this data with you because what science is uncovering right now, it completely shatters everything we thought we knew about the end of life. It's a chilling but really captivating reality to think about. Your heart just stopped. 1 second it was beating, and now it's not. It happens that fast, that simple. This instantaneous event shifts you from living to clinically dead in the literal blink of an eye. Science is only just now beginning to understand what actually happens next, and it turns out the moment you die might actually be the most alive your brain has ever been. So, we begin right here, where at second zero, your blood pressure drops completely to zero. The 5 liters of blood that were rushing through your veins just a moment ago, they suddenly stop flowing. Without a pump, there's no delivery. But here is the absolutely fascinating part. Your brain is the very last to get the memo. It doesn't actually know what's happened yet. Let's watch this timeline play out biologically. We're going to watch the clock tick from second zero, right up to that critical 1-minute mark of this descent into the unknown. We'll trace the exact pathway through the loss of oxygen, the crazy cellular shifts, and finally into this bizarre state of biological limbo. It's such a jarring contrast when you think about it. To the outside world, your body is completely silent and still. But inside, total chaos. For those first few seconds, your neurons are still firing, running entirely on the leftover oxygen just sitting there in your stationary blood. Your thoughts, whatever they were in that last moment, are still happening. Technically speaking, you are still you. Right around the 10-second mark, though, that residual oxygen runs out. The window starts closing incredibly fast as your biology realizes the sheer severity of the situation. You see, your brain is the most oxygen-hungry organ in your entire body. It guzzles up roughly 20% of your total supply. So, right at this 10-second mark, the cerebral cortex, which is the center of your conscious thought, notices the deliveries have stopped and begins to power down. Your eyes stop processing images, your ears stop registering sound, and you lose consciousness. From the outside, you look completely gone. But inside, a profoundly different story is unfolding. Back in a 2023 University of Michigan study, neuroscientist Jimo Borgigan was monitoring the brains of comatose patients taken off life support. Now, they fully expected a quiet fade to black. Instead, she found that the brains of dying patients actually exploded with this highly organized surge of activity. Her blunt, professional description of this surge? Crazy high. And this massive spike wasn't just random neurological static. It was made up of gamma waves. These are the exact same high-frequency brain waves we use for our most vivid dreams, our deepest memory retrieval, and our absolute highest states of conscious awareness. Even more fascinating, this structured surge wasn't just happening all over the place. It was highly concentrated. It lit up a specific region called the temporoparieto-occipital junction. It's a mouthful, I know, but previous research links this exact region to complex visual processing and, get this, out-of-body experiences. This perfectly mirrors decades of clinical death survivor reports where people describe bright lights and this profound sense of floating. This localized surge might completely explain the famous life review that people talk about, but survivors rarely report a highlight reel of their biggest achievements. Instead, they report hyper-specific, super mundane moments, riding a bike, checking an email. In one verified case, a patient recalled seeing a white cat on a staircase. After he recovered, he described it to his mom, who confirmed it was an exact description of an apartment they moved out of when he was just 14 months old. Crazy, right? Verifiable anecdotes like that leave us staring at this profound mystery. Are all of our memories just still in there? Every single one? Does a dying brain's final surge somehow act like a master key, unlocking the entire unedited archive of our lives? While neuroscience can't fully answer this just yet, the data absolutely insists the brain is doing way more than simply shutting down. Okay, back to our ticking timeline. We hit the 30-second mark. Now, while the brain might be experiencing an incredible private light show, the rest of the physical body is rapidly going dark. Your 37 trillion cells suddenly realize, uh-oh, the oxygen is completely gone. To survive, they're forced to immediately switch from aerobic respiration, which needs oxygen, to an emergency backup system called anaerobic respiration. This keeps energy production going for a bit, but it comes at a huge cost. It immediately starts flooding your body with lactic acid.
The physical effect of all that cellular panic is immediate. The rapid acid buildup combined with a total lack of brain signals causes complete systemic relaxation. Your muscles give out, your jaw drops. If you were standing, you've already fallen. Your pupils dilate and become totally fixed as the muscles controlling them go slack. Your eyes basically just become unadjusting lenses with no one behind them.
Now, you'd think that's it, right? Total physical shutdown means total absence of experience. Well, a monumental piece of research totally challenges that. Dr. Sam Parnia, a resuscitation researcher at NYU, recently published the AWARE-2 study. This was a massive clinical endeavor across 25 different hospitals, looking specifically at human consciousness during clinical death. And the findings are just incredibly hard to dismiss. Listen to this. An astounding 40% of cardiac arrest survivors reported having some perception of consciousness during the exact time their bodies were completely shut down and they were considered clinically dead. It gets deeper. 20% of those folks described a specific recalled experience of death. They reported deeply structured thoughts, crystal clear memories, and very often a really comforting feeling of not being alone. Many actually described being met by a deceased relative who guided them or told them it just wasn't their time yet. It gave them an immense sense of peace right in the middle of massive physical failure. But here is the wildest statistic of all. 3%. 3% of people in the study reported having full visual and auditory awareness while their hearts were completely stopped. They could actually see and hear the medical staff working on them, despite showing absolutely zero visible signs of life or brain activity to anyone in the room.
All right, so now we've reached the final milestone of our countdown, the 60-second mark. At 1 full minute without a heartbeat, the damage to your body's cells is becoming very, very serious. But, crucially, it is still not permanent.
At 1 minute in, your body temperature has barely dropped, but your skin pales as blood drains away from surface capillaries. Because of all that lactic acid buildup we talked about, cellular membranes start to weaken and leak enzymes. This marks the very beginning of autolysis, which literally means self-digestion, where your cells actually begin to break themselves down from the inside out.
So you are now hanging in this delicate biological limbo. Your cells are mostly intact and they're just waiting. Medically speaking, they're waiting for oxygen. If someone starts CPR right now or uses a defibrillator, this whole process can still be reversed. People literally come back from this exact state every single day. But if no intervention arrives, those intact cells are simply experiencing their final minute of existence. But as the science shows us, your brain didn't use that final minute to just shut down quietly. It used it to turn on, playing back the tape of your entire life. Not the grand achievements, but the completely ordinary moments. The survivors who return come back wanting so much more presence in the seemingly mundane moments of their daily lives. And I think it leaves us with this really provocative thought to carry with us today. If our brains are recording absolutely everything for a final review, what kind of Tuesday afternoon are you recording right now?